All right, quadratic formula needs to be set equal to 0 so we can start, and it is. So we're ready to find A, B, and C. They're in order. A is 1, B is 12, C is 2. All right, now let's do the discriminant. The discriminant is the part underneath the radical right here. So it's B squared minus 4AC. So that's what we're going to plug into first and start to make this a little less complicated. So B is 12, so 12 squared minus 4 times A is 1 times C is 2. All right, that's 144 minus 8. What is that? Me and subtraction don't get along too well. All right, that comes out to be 136. Now, in the formula, it actually says the square root of that. So let's think about the square root of the discriminant would be the square root of 136. And the square root of 136 is not going to come out as clean and nice as we'd like, right? It's not a perfect square. And so let me type that in over here. Square root 136. Now I have this calculator that's a multi-view. I really recommend this one because it's going to give it to me in radical form, 2 square root of 34. 2 square root of 34. Most calculators are not going to give it to you in this form. Most calculators are just going to give you this long decimal, which is equivalent to that, but it's not, you know, a lot of times in algebra, we need the radical form. So, I'm not going to go into finding the radical form in this video. You can watch lots of other ones where I do that, but just know that if we get this, if we get a radical, that means that we are going to get 2 real solutions, but they're going to be irrational. And what does that mean? All that means is that both of our answers are going to have the square root in it. Okay, it's not going to reduce away so that we just have regular numbers. So that's good to know that we are going to have a square root in the answer. Okay, so let's use this idea and see if we can kind of help ourselves here. So we're going to take this formula and simplify it because we already know all of that part underneath the square root. So the quadratic formula is going to be x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of the discriminant, which we already know, over 2a. So now we're just going to plug in negative b. B is 12. So negative 12 plus or minus, and we know the square root of the discriminant is 2 square root of 34. 2 square root 34 over 2a, and a was 1. So 2 times 1 is just 2. Okay, so here's something nice to know. When it's irrational, you don't really have to split it up because the positive and the negative are going to end up being the same, having the same number values. So all that I mean is that at this point, our focus is on, can we reduce or simplify the fraction that's left? And so we've got a negative 12, we've got a 2, and another 2. So that's what we're going to focus on. The square root of 34 can't reduce with anything else because there's no other square roots anywhere, nothing to do there. So right now we're just thinking about the negative 12s, 12 and the 2s. So I want you to think of negative 12 as something smaller and ideally with a 2 in it. So if you're multiplying, you could think, well, negative 2 times 6, that's the same as negative 12, right? Plus or minus 2 square root of 34 over 2. And now notice the 2's all cancel. Isn't that nice? So think about what's left. What's left is a negative 6 plus or minus square root of 34. And there's nothing left on the bottom. When I say they cancel, it just means they all divide to equal 1. So anything divided by 1 is still itself. That means that this is the answer, negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 34. Now you may need to see that reduction part again. So you may need to back up and watch that part again, or watch some other videos where I'm doing this. But reducing this fraction means just focus on the numbers that are outside of any radical and think of how you can reduce all of them. They'll all divide by 2. That's what we did here. We divided all of these by 2, which leaves us with a -6 and a 1 and a 1. Okay, I hope that helps you. See you in the next one.